Welcome back to the Sibling Group Chat. I'm Owen.
And I'm Cassidy.
Today we are back at it with the Odyssey review, episode 67, Eugene's Dilemma.
Yes. Ironically, this is the 76th episode of Adventures in Odyssey. Funny how that works out. And it
It's going to be a real
aired...
popular one with the kids.
I know, yeah. But anyway, it originally aired on June 24th, 1989. No break this time. It is part of Album 5, Daring Deeds, Sinister Schemes. And in this episode, Eugene starts working at the college computer department with 11-year-old Nicholas Adamsworth and gets caught up in a grade-changing scheme. And our theme is responsibility, doing what's right, and standing up for your friends.
Yeah. Yes, this is our, I don't know what you call it exactly, but like the parallel episode to the last one with Connie. It's like presumably happening at the same time as the last one. It's like what Eugene's up to while Connie was at camp, basically.
Yeah. To start off with, I have a glaring issue to address because Chris says that Campbell Community College is one of the great places of learning in the Odyssey area. And it is, again, later in the episode, referred to by the same name. But is it not, in fact, Campbell County Community College?
Maybe they changed the name.
But doesn't Richard refer to it as Campbell County Community College just a few episodes later?
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe the grade-changing scandal hit the papers, so they had to change the name of the college so that they would be less associated with it.
Right. But, yeah.
I mean, I put it in my notes as Campbell County Community College, but
they never say county in this episode.
Actually, I have it as just Campbell County College.
Yeah. No, they were calling it Campbell Community College. I was like, that's not its name.
That's not right.
Yeah.
But yeah, Eugene has found a job in the Campbell County Community College computer department. I think you might be right, because don't they make some joke about the number of C's?
Yeah, Richard makes a joke about the 5 C's. Campbell County Community College computers. Just clever. And cute, too. That's not this episode.
Eugene is being shown around the department by his the guy who supervises the department, I guess, Mr. What is his name? I have it. Burgelmeister. There it is. Yeah, they've just been on a roll with some of their names lately.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about their role with names later as we continue this discussion. But yeah, that's quite the name there.
But yes, as he's going through, he has shown an important computer room with the computers that have all their financial records and student grades and stuff. And while they're going through there, they also meet Eugene does not meet himself. Eugene meets a boy named Nicholas Adamsworth, who is in an advanced placement type program that allows him to work in the computer department, and he is 11.
Yeah, well, I believe this is this program is what's allowing him to be at the college, because he's 11 years old. We find out a little later in the conversation he is an orphan. He's in the state orphanage, and this program is in relation with the state orphanage to see if kids his age can survive at college.
Yeah. Eugene and him have a nice little bonding moment over being little kids at college.
Mm-hmm. And Eugene says he started college at 13. Will be contested later.
Yes. You started college when you were 11. Actually, it was 14.
It was 14.
But yes, so after the first, I believe, I think it says couple days of working there, because Eugene's like, now that he'd gotten the hang of it after a couple days, Mr. Burgelmeister wanted him to do a grade check random just to make sure all the grades had been entered correctly, because he wanted to make sure that the system was working correctly and doing everything. And Nicholas doesn't seem to think that that's particularly necessary, and while they're talking about that, a guy named Richard Maxwell comes into the computer department, and he is Nicholas's counselor and in charge of telling the school how Nicholas is doing. And we have met this Richard before, presumably.
Mm-hmm. He works at the retirement home, but we didn't know his last name then. But it's the same voice, same guy.
Yeah. Richard says that Eugene stole his job. Apparently, he thought he was in line for this computer position before Eugene got there.
And Eugene is
He says,
confused. He's like, I thought you were a counselor. How are you going to work here? To which Richard says,
I'm a Renaissance man.
I dabble in lots of things.
I don't think that's actually where he says he dabbles in lots of things. That's later.
He does say it here. Later, he repeats
okay.
it. He adds one more phrase.
I think he's more famous for the second iteration of this quote then.
I would agree.
He says he does various things at the college. He's a Renaissance man, as you said. He asks Eugene why he doesn't work in town anymore, because he knows Eugene used to work at Wits End. And Eugene kind of tells him, and he's like, you know what, it's...
You ask me.
Well, if he knew his sister, maybe, he had to go pick up his sister from...
Sure, we'll go with that. Although I can't imagine Rachel was ever at Wits End.
Probably not, but we don't have a ton of reason yet to be overly suspicious of Richard, at least not yet at this point in the episode. Eugene kind of tells him why he got fired, and he's like, you know what, it's not really out of your business. And then as he leaves, Eugene says, counselors have sure changed a lot since I was in school.
Yeah. Which, presuming he started at 13, we're gauging around 18, so it was give or take 5 years ago that he started school, I guess.
Give or take, yeah.
Give or take.
Later, after Eugene had run his grade check, after the first scene where we get it's been a couple days, there's not really any way of knowing how long it is in between different scenes, because the entire episode takes place over about a month, presumably.
Well, a month since A Bite of Applesauce. We don't know quite when he got this job. After
it's got to be close to a month though at the end though, because when Mr. Whitaker's talking to him, he said that happened over a month ago, so you couldn't have been working here 2 months ago. He doesn't say anything about you've only been working here for 2 weeks.
That's true. But at the most, a month has passed, but we don't know exactly how much time it actually passed.
But Eugene had run his grade checks, and he'd found several grades that didn't match up. Nicholas, it's probably a coincidence, bug in the system, nothing to worry about. But Eugene disagreed, and I mean, rightfully so. The grades should be correct in the system, especially it's not like it was just one. He'd found several. And he said he'd often heard of students paying money to pass classes. Nicholas was like, at Campbell County College, are you serious? Don't let your imagination run away with you.
Yes, Nicholas is very nervous. If we didn't think he was nervous when Eugene first started talking about this, he definitely seems nervous now and doesn't want Eugene investigating further.
For sure. And Eugene is then trying to think of a way to catch the person who is doing the changes. And then later, at a later time, maybe that night, maybe a different night or something, or a different day, he had thought about it and realized that the computer would have a log of who had been working or when the changes had happened. So he looks in the log to find the exact time and place or computer that the grades had been changed from, and it showed him that they were changed in the computer room. And so he asked Nicholas to check to see who was working at that time, and Nicholas said you didn't have to check because he knew who it was. He had been working there. And at first Eugene's like, oh, you were here when the grades were changed? Was someone else here? And he's like, no, I changed the grades, Eugene.
And it was leading up to this, we can tell from Nicholas's behavior, he was going to confess in this moment before Eugene, figured it out. He was trying to confess, and Eugene wasn't really letting him get a word in edgewise. And then he's like, it was me.
Yeah. I lost my spot in my notes.
Eugene asks Nicholas why he was doing it, and he tells him that that Richard was basically forcing him to do it by threatening to report Nicholas to the college, that he was to ruin his chances.
Actually, all he says is he made me do it, and then Richard Maxwell shows up.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And then between the two of them, they tell Eugene, like, basically he had been forced to do it, and if something went wrong, Richard was gonna tell the college that Nicholas wasn't working out and have him sent back.
And it's at this point when Eugene questions Richard, being like, I thought you were just a counselor. Why are you doing this? That he says, I told
I
you.
told you, I'm a
Renaissance
Renaissance man. I dabble in lots of things, particularly money-making kinds of things.
Classic Richard.
Indeed. But so yeah, they tell Eugene basically like Nicholas didn't have a choice, and you don't either. If you tell anything, you're gonna ruin Nicholas, regardless of what else happens.
Because Eugene is, or Richard says, if you tell on me, I'll just tell on Nikki, and there's no way for you to prove that I was behind it, so you can't tell without jeopardizing Nikki's chances here. Nicholas.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
So then, presumably that same night, Eugene is still thinking about it. He hadn't told anybody, and it was like time, like it was the end of the day. And so Nicholas is like saying, like, it's time to go. Like, thanks for not telling anybody. And Eugene's like, prefer you didn't talk about it. I'd rather act like it never happened. And then that gives him an idea that they could just go back and change the grades and pretend that it never happened. And so they go to work to undo the changes. And Eugene's like, if they're all correct, and Richard Maxwell, like, tries to create problems, he has no way to prove that there was anything wrong done if the grades are correct. But then the next day, Eugene is called into Mr. Burgelmeister's office because Mr. Burgelmeister said that there had been a discovery made that students had been paying money for changing grades, and so he'd started monitoring Eugene's department the day before, which allowed him to see that Eugene
like,
had been...
The day before, eh?
Yeah. It allowed him to see that Eugene had stayed late working and specifically been working on changing grades. Thus, Eugene would have to go through before the Board of Inquiries to decide what to do about it. And Eugene...
Well, and also, Eugene does... Not that he's saying he did it, but he's not saying he didn't do it. So it's very clear that Eugene is going to be the one to take some blame here.
Yeah. So in front of the Board of Inquiry, there's some people from the college, and then there's also Mr. Whitaker. Mr. Whitaker's on the board. Hello, Mr. Whitaker.
I just want to discuss this board here, because the board is being led by the president of the college, Dr. Grayson. Is it just me, or is this the exact same voice as Mr. Burgelmeister?
I was wondering that too, because I could never figure out if it was Mr. Burgelmeister or Mr. Grayson.
Yeah,
or
it
Dr.
says
Grayson
it's
or
Mr.
whatever.
Grayson, Dr. Grayson, yeah, which, again, I want to point out, who is this, like, the third person with the last name Grayson in the show? Like, why do we keep reusing this name? It's like the new Bobby.
Well, you know, it's a family name in the Campbell County area. There's a lot of Graysons.
Are they all related?
Yeah.
I see. But yeah, I was confused on the voice there. Like, is it two different people? Like, or like, I know it's supposed to be two different characters, but is it the same voice actor, and why? Because it's very confusing.
Ours is not to reason why.
Yeah, but anyway, it's Dr. Grayson, a Ralph Harris, and Mr. Whitaker, both of whom are part of the Board of Trustees of the college, and that's why they're on the Board of Inquiry with Dr. Grayson.
Yes, Eugene was to be, like, questioned, tried, I guess, by the board. He says, like, we're not a law court, but, like, it's our job to figure out what to tell the college that they should do, basically, if they're going to expel you or press charges and arrest you. And so it's basically like, okay, Eugene, make your defense. And Eugene's like, I have nothing to say. And so I think it's Dr. Grayson or whatever is like, I hadn't counted on this, so he's kind of talking to the other two guys and like, so what are we supposed to do? And the Ralph dude is like, well, the evidence is clear. Let's just get this over with. But then Mr. Whitaker's like, he'd been looking through it, saw some dates on one of the pages, and he asked if he could talk to Eugene alone. Page 7.
This Ralph guy, I feel like they should have chosen a different member of the Board of Trustees, because I don't think he really wants to be here. He's just like, the evidence is clear, convict him, and he's like, oh yeah, I wanted coffee. Like, sir, take this seriously, please.
Well, Mr. Whitaker had already asked to have a meeting with Eugene alone.
He had, but Ralph said he already wanted coffee. So,
Well, maybe he was hoping it would be a quick little trial and he could go get some coffee afterwards.
I guess.
But Mr. Whitaker goes to talk to Eugene while the other members take a recess for coffee. And Mr. Whitaker asks about the charges, and Eugene pretty much just says, like, it's in the files, like, I was caught red-handed, obviously you can see that. I was changing grades the other night, and, like, it's my department, so I'm responsible. Like, again, he doesn't say he's responsible for the entire thing, but, like, he doesn't say he's not.
Yeah, he's very careful. He never lies in the words he says, but he definitely is trying to take the blame for what happened.
Yeah. And Mr. Whitaker obviously is having a hard time believing him, even though Eugene even points out, like, you fired me for similar offense. Like, why can't you believe that I would do this?
And Whit's like, funny you brought that up.
It's like, I've been wanting you to bring that up. Let me direct your attention to my findings.
On page 7.
And Mr. Whitaker again noted that he had been fired from Wits End about a month ago, while the grade changing had started over 2 months ago, meaning Eugene couldn't have been responsible, or at least not completely responsible.
Mm-hmm.
So he asks for the truth, and Eugene says, like, please just let me do what I have to do. Like, Mr. Whitaker says something about this putting your, like, career in jeopardy, and like Eugene says something about not only mine, but he's like, let me do what I have to do. But then Nicholas bursts in. I feel like Nicholas has a tendency to burst in the few episodes that he's in.
It's true. He's a very burst-in type of kid. And it's these moments that remind you that he is only 11 years old.
Yeah. But he says he's been looking for Eugene ever since Mr. Burgelmeister told him why Eugene wasn't at work that day and what had happened. And then so he asks, like, who are you? To Mr. Whitaker. And then he is like, are you in charge of this kangaroo trial?
So dramatic.
A kangaroo trial is like a real phrase, right? Like, I feel like I've heard that.
I believe so, but I don't remember what it means.
Well, I'm going to look it up, because I meant to look that up before we started recording.
Yeah.
Kangaroo trial. A kangaroo trial, more commonly called a kangaroo court, is a mock legal proceeding that intentionally disregards recognized standards of law and justice. These trials lack basic due process safeguards such as the right to call witnesses, confront accusers, and a fair and impartial judge. That's the AI overview sourced from Wikipedia, so...
That makes sense. I see why Nicholas used the term. Then I also see why Dr. Grayson was clear this isn't a court of law, so that's why they didn't need to follow all the procedures that they weren't following.
Exactly. But anyway, Mr. Whitaker's like, I might be, and Nicholas is like, can't let Eugene get in trouble. He's had nothing to do with it. So Mr. Whitaker says, well, you better start talking then. So Nicholas said it started 3 months ago, and Richard Maxwell.
He does
Richard Maxwell. Richard Maxwell had asked him if he had access to the grades in the school computer because he had tried to hack in himself, but he couldn't figure it out. Which is a little bit impressive when you think about it. Like, it was a very well done computer program if Richard Maxwell couldn't hack into it. I mean, Eugene had even said something earlier in the episode about it being, like, nearly impossible to hack into from the outside.
Mm-hmm.
Mr.
Whitaker probably helped design these computers.
Oh, probably. Then Nicholas said that Richard had basically said, if you have access to it, I don't care if you're not supposed to change anything, you're going to change something or it's going to not go well for you. So then the Board of Inquiry brought Richard and Nicholas and Eugene all before them later. Nicholas presumably told the entire story to Mr. Whitaker. We don't get to hear the entire story. The Board of Inquiry found Richard guilty of participation and expelled him, and Richard does not really care whatsoever.
No, he's really unfazed and sarcastic and flippant about the whole thing.
Yeah. Nicholas was placed on probation, but not forced to leave the college. And Eugene was relieved of his duties in the computer department and placed under the authority of a different member of the Board of trustees. So at first Eugene's like, so you're firing me? And they're like, no, not exactly. We are going to have you complete your internship where it first started.
At which
Which
point
would
I
be
was
at
like,
Wits End.
I forget that that Eugene's time at Wits End began as an internship, because at some point, obviously, it just turns into him working there, but it did
Yeah.
start as an internship.
Mm-hmm. But then, so yeah, Eugene, like, asked Mr. Whitaker, like, if he wanted to have him come back, basically, like, because that means, like, working with Wits End, and Mr. Whitaker says that after the character, or what does he say? Not the character, but
I think you said
the
the
way he's seen
sacrificial
Eugene
way
act.
you acted today, or something
Yeah.
like that.
He said he would be pleased to have him come back to Wits End. And Eugene says he will absolutely come back in his own Eugene-like way that I couldn't type out everything that he said.
No. But I think what he says is the same thing he says when he first comes to Wits End.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
But yeah, Whit tells Eugene and Nicholas that maybe things can start to get back to normal around here. And Richard says under his breath, I wouldn't count on it, Mr. Whitaker. I wouldn't count on it.
Bum, bum, bum. Very ominous ending. That Chris doesn't acknowledge at all, which I found a little
No,
funny.
she's just like, it sounds like Eugene's going back to work at Wits End. I always thought he'd go back to work at Wits End.
But you would think that, especially because she has already teased that things are going to continue, that she would have been like, what is Richard up to? What did he mean by that? But no,
Yeah.
he doesn't acknowledge it at all.
Nope. But yeah, that does it for that episode. We've heard the lessons that Connie and Eugene have been learning in their time away from Wits End, and we've heard that Eugene has been hired back.
Mm-hmm. And next week, we are moving into the two-parter that Chris teased to us a few weeks ago, The Nemesis, parts 1 and 2. It's all coming together.
Indeed it is. So we hope you all join us for that episode, because it should be a good one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I guess that about does it for today's episode.
Yeah, got nothing else to say.
Oh yeah, we will be back at it next week with the Nemesis. Thank you for watching and or listening. Subscribe wherever you get the podcast. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and we will see you next time.
Yep, bye.